Hello, everybody. We have the new interview with Monique Suttorp, the primary researcher and founder of YOUnique Research. I am actually really curious to hear more from her. I hope you are too. So stay in tune with us and follow along. Welcome, Monique. How are you today?
Wow, I'm great actually. I'm curious and a bit nervous. Not used of doing interviews.
Tell
Well,
me more about your background and why you decided to develop the purpose paper.
okay. Well, my background is actually kind of all over the place. Um, I've always been very fascinated by color, and as color is a pretty common phenomenon. You can do that in very different ways. So I tried like almost all of them. And at a certain point, when I was at the Academy of Arts, I had to do a paper for my diploma, and and the commission was do a bit of research and present it. And then I thought, that's a complicated one because I know a lot about Rembrandt. I know a lot about some other artists, so that wouldn't be very interesting for me to do research. And then I thought, well, let me pick one that I don't understand at all. And I took Mondrian because then I thought, then I can learn myself a little bit. Not the easy way, but well, after studying him and it changed my life actually. And to do that, well, I did how can I say that in very short term? He developed his abstract art within his studio, and he wrote down himself that he used his studio as a kind of laboratory for his art. And so his studio was very important for him in the transition from recognizable pictures into totally abstract minimalism. And so we wanted to reconstruct that that studio of him, and do an exhibition while 50 years after his death. And so I initiated that together with a guy that that did the work at the Technical University in Delft in the Netherlands. And but yeah, all there was back from 1923, there were only black and white pictures. And yeah, well, they don't say anything, because it wasn't black and white. So then I developed a theory and searched for all the cracks on their own field and asked them whether, say, they could do a certain part of the research. And we came up with a method to translate black and white pictures back into color, which was reasonably easy, as we knew for sure that there was only the use of yellow, blue, and red, and gray and white and black, of course. So yeah, well, that started it back then. And then when it kept on fascinating. It's based on wavelengths because that's what it is. And wavelengths ever since has been fascinating for me, and always looking for the wavelengths of stuff and see whether I can connect the dots, cause and effect on wavelengths.
So how did
your question?
Well, yes, the first part, so what made you come up with, deciding to develop a purpose paper? Because,
Oh yeah,
I hear about I hear about the part that, you're really interested in wavelengths, and I can see why, because if you're so involved in that research that you're getting curious about, hey, what more? The
Yeah.
curiosity picks up. So somewhere down the line, you came in contact with something and decided to start this research. But what went before that? I'm really curious to learn about that a little bit more.
Okay. Well, back in, well, I've been, yeah, that is an ongoing thing, fascinated by wavelengths. And back in 2002, I came across something that was called human design. And then they said, well, it's a combination of I Ching, astrology, Kabbalah, and quantum physics. And then I thought, hey, quantum physics, wavelengths. And so I took some interest in it. And then I thought, well, it does make sense, but somehow I couldn't connect the dots. I thought it was very, very complicated, the way they wrote about it. And still, so I decided back then, whenever I have time, as I knew that it would be a very huge study. So when I have time, I will dig in some deeper and see what I can find there. So at the same time, when I was ready to do that, I had time enough. Then I thought, yeah, well, I need to create a method. And I'm curious about people as they surprise me, like always. And at the same time, there was stuff showing up in my lifetime and time over again that I thought, well, am I that stupid that I can't learn that lesson because it's happening over again? And then I thought, yeah, well, coincidence, based from science, quantum physics, doesn't exist. So there needs to be a reason. So I thought, when I create a method, let's try and see whether I can find some answers within those wavelengths, in the occurrence of the wavelengths, that can solve or get some answers on my basic life questions. Why am I here? What's the use of everything happening? Cause and effect. And what is it that makes that stuff happening, and why do I perceive myself in a different way than others perceive me? Why don't they see I mean well, for instance? Well, all those kinds of things I tried to combine in a way, and that was like the Purposepaper.
Okay. And then the moment comes that you're reading your own Purposepaper. And I can totally imagine that did something in your life in general afterwards. And I would love to learn from you what did happen in general after you read that Purposepaper for your own life. What happened? What changed for you? What maybe was recognition or what? Yeah, it's interesting for me to find that out, and I think our viewers will love to hear about that because you were the first.
Yeah, well, no, my Purposepaper wasn't the first. I kept it
Okay.
all for a long, long time. So I wrote like a lot of stuff, and I really refused to look at my own or to create.
Oh,
And so that took me some years, actually, and a lot of questions of others. Hey, what's in yours? What's in yours? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not busy with that. And because, yeah, for me, from a scientific point of view, you will never be able to look in an objective way to one's own life. So that was like a go no go. But yeah, well, at a certain point, of course, I had to do it, and then I created my own Purposepaper, and it was, thank God, all in the database, so I didn't have to study or find something else. It was already there, and I got my husband, my mate, my buddy, actually, Francis. He read it to me, and I think nothing nothing human is alien to me. So I went through the same roller coaster as I suspect a lot of other people have too. So I was like astonished. And I didn't want to understand some stuff. And I was angry, and I was confused, and how it's possible. So every emotion went through. So at the time, straight away, it was like, wow, very enlightening at the same time too, but also very confusing. And but before and after, there's actually, from my experience, a huge difference, because it did give me a lot of answers on questions I had before. And not all the answers are as happy as one should hope, but still there are answers, there's cause and effect. And yeah, well, some of the gifts are a cure or a curse, and a cure, mostly a cure for others and a curse for yourself. And well, I had some of those, but you know, once I knew it, you can deal with it, and there's no anger, no sadness, no. Of course, you get surprised by some stuff that happens, but there's no scars left or things hurt, because you know you can deal with it. It's cause and effect, and it's neutral actually. So that made my life a lot easier.
Please expand on that. How, it make my life easier? That's a nice statement, but yeah, in what way would it be easier? I would like to know that.
Well, easier in the sense that, okay, something, shit happens. And then you die is something they say. Well, life isn't about, we like to pursue happiness, which is ludicrous, of course, because you can't pursue it. It's in the moment. It's an experience in the moment. But most of the time you get stuff. You experience stuff, reactions of people, well, you name it, that you don't like actually or don't expect. So, and when that happens, before I was like confused, I was hurt or angry, or well, I get angry when I'm hurt, so that's basically the same result. But afterwards, I just thought, oh, well, okay, that's your opinion. And that's your karma, it's your life. If that's what you do, that's has nothing to do with me. So in that sense, it became a lot more easy. It became easier as I don't have that many interruptions of me and being happy doing what I want.
Yeah, exactly. I get that. So please share with us, did you make any conscious decisions to really change things in your life after knowing this information? Because, there's the general change that happens because you're starting to recognize and become aware. But was there also a part that, it was a conscious decision, like, okay, I'm starting to do this differently from now on, or something like that? I would love to hear that.
Yeah, there are. And now I know for sure, because I've been experimenting with it too, to check that for me, focusing on myself is a recipe for disaster, as I can learn myself by focusing on others. And that's a very conscious decision that I made afterwards. And
How
it
does that
helps a
show up?
lot.
And yeah, I hear that, but is there like a before after effect because of that? Do you experience people are like behaving different because of that, or what happens? That's yeah, that's what I would
Well,
like to hear.
it started with just knowing for myself that it won't work. As when people ask me very personal questions like you're doing now, actually, normally I would get like totally confused and didn't know what to say. As well, I have a hard time digging in deep, and when I pursue that, I'll go blank. I get depressed or whatever because I don't know and I feel stupid. And now that I know, I don't do it that way, and I, for myself, put myself in another state. So I'm servicing others by telling them my experience. So that's the conscious part. And also, since now I know, I inform others about that I have a hard time with sudden questions that go about my personal stuff.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing this because it is a personal question. And yeah, for me, I believe it's really important that this is out there because probably more people like you in the sense like they're focusing more on servicing others than focusing on themselves. You are not stupid, you're just wired in a different way. So that's very valuable information as far as I'm concerned to know. So thank you for sharing that with us. Um, are there any other examples you can give that big changes that you've been through, or maybe within the partnership with Francis or business wise? Or I love to hear like one or two examples. Is that I hope you want to do that?
Yeah, yeah, of course I want to do it. I'm just thinking now about examples that are nice to hear for others. This sort. Um, well, I guess I'm far more laid back, and my self-esteem grew just by doing the experimenting with all the trips, the strategies, and tricks I could imagine. And once you get a confirmation that it works for you, what works, or very specific sometimes, that you find stuff out that, oh, wow. For me, for instance, I don't need to explain that much unless people ask me. That's something I found out. I don't, when I do that, uh, it's an overload for people or whatever. I don't know, but it doesn't work. So for me, I just inform, I keep it short. And when people want to know more, they will ask me. And if I don't have an answer in the moment, then I don't have an answer. And it doesn't bother me. And before that, it did. I want to have an answer on everything. Because also, actually, I really like giving answers or solving problems or whatever. So it bugged me a lot when I couldn't. And now when it happens, it just happens and I don't know. And maybe I can come back to it or not. We'll see. And I'm okay. Oh, that's a lot of freedom.
That definitely is a lot of freedom and a lot of peace of mind.
Yeah. That's why I told you it becomes more easier and easier all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So we covered a lot already. So there's just one thing that I'd love to hear from you. You know, I want to always end the interview with some gift to others that are listening to us to this interview. So share with us something that you really believe they need to know, or something like that. Something epiphany is maybe a very big word, but you know, I think you will get the gist of what I mean, you know, something you want to really need them to know that.
Well, when I'm very bold,
Please be bold.
I could say, well, if you want to stop suffering, get your purpose paper read. And that's quite bold, but basically it's an handout. It was for me a handout to get yourself in balance. Also, because you know, some people ask me why it's so positive, the purpose paper, why it's so positive. And then actually, you know, people who want you to adjust, to improve, whatever, those remarks you get all the time from several people. But hardly, well, where I come from, Netherlands, for instance, well, they aren't very generous with compliments. And, you know, and so that's why I chose the upside of the purpose paper to write it in a positive way. So you don't need to be scared, you know, all the little improvement stuff you will get anywhere. And to really reconnect, for me, to really, I wanted to reconnect with who am I? You know, basically, who am I? As you know, there's so much thoughts and stuff you've learned and how you've been raised and the culture you grow up in. And as a person, people always say, well, go from your head to your heart. Yeah, how? And so, yeah, those are all those little things I tried to fit in that purpose paper, to give a handout, to reconnect with your true self. And whether it's true or not, it's up to you, each of us, when you have a purpose paper read. Because it's still research, you know. And so we will ask, do you recognize it? And yes is a good answer, and no is an answer that's as good as yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything
Well,
neutral.
yeah, true. Yeah. Oh, Monique, thank you very much for this interview and sharing, well, some personal insights that I didn't even know yet. So that's always nice. And people, when you're watching this video, thank you for watching. Give us a like, subscribe to our channel because we have a lot more interviews coming, but also we have testimonials coming. There will be a lot of other Wonders by Diversity talks. There are already a lot of them you can watch back. So please go to the channel and look it up, or go to www.youniqueresearch.com and browse our website if you are curious to learn more about the purpose paper reading and more about the research also, because we are presenting that also on the website and information that's freely available. So please go there. Again, Monique, thank you very much for sharing this information with us. And well, we hope to see you back like later on with an update about the research, of course. That will take a little bit of time still, but we will be back eventually with a new interview. I'm counting on that. So thank you, everybody. And well, don't forget to like. Bye bye.